What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. We got kind of a decently important video, I guess you would say. Not a super important one, but it is a question that some people, I'm sure, are sitting there wondering. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to answer it for you. So, you read the title, you saw the thumbnail. Let's get into it. Should you buy your gun from a pawn shop? It's a simple yes or no answer most people would believe, but it's really not. So I'm going to get into a couple of reasons why maybe you should, why maybe you shouldn't. I'm going to let you figure it out for yourself, because overall, can I say that I haven't gotten guns from pawn shops before? No. But can I say that you should 100%? No, I'm not going to say that either, because I don't know what pawn shops you have near you. So let's get right into it. So for starters, on some of the reasons why you would not want to go to a pawn shop to get a gun. Well, one of the reasons why is because a lot of pawn shops get used guns. A lot of times they like to overcharge for used guns as well. There is that. One of the quick ways you can tell if it is used or not is if it has, for example, what is known as the Glock smile on it. Things along on the barrel, things along those lines. You know what I'm talking about. But they overcharge for used guns. There is that. Let me see here. Oftentimes, ammo is not going to be the best price at a pawn shop. So there is that as well. They're probably not going to have too many accessories for the gun you're looking to get if you do want to get fully set up. So for example, if you want to get a holster, extra mags, whatever, they probably aren't going to have it depending on what gun it is. Now, of course, I understand pawn shops vary and each pawn shop is different. And that's another thing too that kind of counts both as a pro and a con here, is that, for example, the pawn shop right down the road from you guys or from wherever you're watching from might have the coolest guns around. They might have the best ammo prices around. But at least from my experience at several different pawn shops, the ammo price might not be, the ammo's not the great as far as pricing goes. Guns aren't that great as far as the pricing's going. And I'll be honest with you, another thing that kind of sucks about pawn shops too and buying guns from them is that usually not everyone there knows too much about guns. It's not really a gun store to them. You know what I mean? We are looking at it as that because that's where we're purchasing our firearm from. But a majority of the people who work pawn shops generally have their own sections. You know what I mean? A lot of them have their, their jewelry guy or whatever. You know what I mean? But a lot of, there's usually only one or two people in the shop that don't know anything about the guns that you're wanting to buy or even have any clue about them. And if they're not there, you're kind of just screwed, looking around. And I don't know. It's just, if you're looking to only go to pawn shops to buy guns, that probably isn't going to be your best bet. Now, what I will say is, as a pro for pawn shops, some of them have guns that you might really want and haven't been able to find anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't put it past some pawn shops to just get like one or two of these specific guns that, just happen to not be being sold anywhere at the moment. It doesn't, I wouldn't put it past them, but that's also a big if thing. You know what I mean? You might not need any particular, the gun you might be looking for next might just be easy to find as well. You might not even be looking for a gun yet. So it's kind of just one of those iffy, in this situation, it can be helpful. It's not a definitive pro or really a definitive con, I guess you can say. That's the best way to phrase it there. So what we have right now as far as cons go is the pricing is not great. That goes for guns and ammo. Let me see here. A lot of times you're not going to have a great time with customer service because there aren't going to be too many people that are too knowledgeable on the products there, because it is a pawn shop. So they have other sections that they tend to make a good amount of money more than their firearm sections on. So be prepared for that. But that really is about it as far as the cons go. I will say, as far as some pros, I've seen some pawn shops that honestly have had cheaper FFL fees than I've seen gun stores, like solely stores that sell guns and, or ranges as well, actually. But, I've seen some pawn shops that have some great FFL fees. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on what's going on. It depends what your pawn shop has going on there. It depends what guns they have, depends what kind of ammo they got going. It depends where you're at as well. There's so many variables to whether or not you should go and get a gun from a pawn shop. It really is kind of a case-by-case situation with with pawn shops, because not all of them are going to be run the same. Not all of them are going to have the same amount of guns. I've gone to some pawn shops that have had literally like 95% of the store was guns. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a pawn shop? And they're like, yeah, we have a little jewelry corner over here. And it's like one person who's handling maybe 3 cubic feet, of area for a jewelry stand. But it's not, some stores I've seen only have like 5 guns and 2 types of ammo. And we're talking ammo that like not a lot of people go out of their way to buy. So it really does vary on a case by case situation. Not every pawn shop is going to be ran the same. Not every pawn shop is going to have the same amount of guns, or even the same type of guns, or even the same amount of ammo or type of ammo. So it's not a 100% no, don't go check them out. However, if you're gonna go there, don't go there with high expectations. That's a better way to say it. Because while I even look, I can talk about several guns that I have gotten from a pawn shop, or people I know have gotten from pawn shops that I know are phenomenal guns. They work perfectly. There's never been an issue with them. But I mean, those were really just kind of one-off situations, really. Those weren't, oh yeah, we're only going to go to this store to get guns now. You know what I mean? There was no point in that. Pawn shops don't really have the selection you're going to want like that. They don't have the accessories that you're going to need as well. A lot of people seem to think, oh yeah, well, you can just go. Look, I don't know about you guys. When I buy a gun, I like to buy some accessories for it immediately. Even if I'm not picking it up that day, I like to get some accessories for it so that way I have it together for when I do go and pick it up. You're not going to get that opportunity if you're buying your gun from a pawn shop. Now, if you do find, of course, as a, you know what? Hold on. Here's one really great pro, though, that I will say about pawn shops. Let me stress this right now. Pawn shops, unless they are, if they're small pawn shops at least, you can usually haggle on the price. You can usually haggle on the price, get a decent deal out of it. And that's if you're just good, I guess, at, not really being a salesperson, but just good at kind of finessing. You're good at haggling. You're good at talking to people so you can get it down to a lower price. That is something you'll more likely than not be able to do at pawn shops compared to your standard FFL dealers. But that's one of the, very few pros to the, to a lot of cons. Now, as I said before, should you not look at pawn shops for guns? No, you definitely should. I mean, you might even find something good there for a good price. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like a broken clock is right twice a day. You see what I mean? So it's not that you can't find anything good at a pawn shop, but don't go in there with the highest expectations is my best way of putting it. With that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, while pawn shops, they can have some good deals. They can have some cool guns. They can have some neat accessories, whatever. You probably shouldn't only go to pawn shops to get your guns. Go ahead and make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.